at it again. Now, full disclosure, what I'm about to show you is really, really good. Okay? It is. But this will mean absolutely nothing if we don't get out and do our part. We need door knockers, phone callers, right? People hitting the ground, registering folks like Scott Presler, get in contact with a guy like Scott Presler, TPUSA. I heard even Elon Musk now has his own organization where he's helping out with this election, and obviously voting, okay? Whether that's early, which, hey, bank it. Bank it. If you could do it early, bank it, all right? Because we saw what happened in Arizona, right? I believe it was Arizona where ran out of paper. Maybe that was Pennsylvania. But anyway, or in the pipes burst. I believe that was in Georgia, right? On the day of. So to avoid any situation like that, bank it if you need to. But I just wanted to say that before I got into this because it is really good. Okay, what I'm about to show you guys. But it will mean absolutely nothing if we don't get out and do our part. With that being said, let's dive in.
Crew, Christina Coleman, Kevin Cork, Chanley Painter, Steve Hilton, Jason Rantz, and Armin Kurdian. Tonight's topic, silent majority. National polls consistently show a dead heat between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, yet reports show Trump beating Kamala on social media, and even the legacy media is struggling to find Harris supporters. Bakeries sell more Trump cookies than they sell Kamala cookies. Do you think the polls might be underrepresenting Trump's support again, Jason Rantz?
I do. I just don't think it's because of social media. I mean, social media is not real life. If it were, I'd be 29, have a six-pack. I would love going on random adventures because that's what my Tinder profile says. It's all fake. I mean, I hate follow people. That's what it's about.
Yeah. Chanley.
So he catfishes people. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
But I think maybe that's what polls do. I mean, really, are they that reliable? They weren't in the past very reliable, Trace.
No, they really haven't. Christina.
I feel like the polls are underrepresenting.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Kevin, do you? I mean, listen, I look at the polls and I look at some of these other things that are non-scientific, and I think, I don't know how these numbers, but yet the polls are very static.
Yeah, the polls are lying to you. They usually lie to you. They're lying again this time. We'll see how it turns out on election night, but I don't believe them one bit.
Yeah. Armin Kurdian.
Trace, it's more misinformation. You're looking to a guy who's been on some polls and given some misinformation about who you're going to actually vote for. The polls haven't been right since 2008. I just say, just forget what the polls say. Imagine you're behind by 3 points all the way up until Election Day. Play like you're behind by 3 points.
Like you're behind by 3 points. Steve Hilton, that's good advice.
That's exactly right. The part of this story I like is just the social media dominance. To me, it speaks to the fact that it's the Trump campaign. That's it's the rebels and the kind of independent-minded people and the Kamala Harris people, the boring old establishment, and no one's really interested.
Yeah, I mean, when they had on 9/11, when Trump walked into the fire station an hour after Joe Biden walked in and Kamala Harris, and Biden and Harris walk in, the place is silent. Trump walks in and erupts. You're like, what's going on? So do you think the polls might be underrepresenting Trump's support again? Yes, 97%. Yes, on Instagram, 94%. Michael says negative reporting, negative polls. When it comes to Trump, it's all negative all the time. We've seen this movie before. Aneen, maybe a little bit, but just because they oversample Dems. John says no matter what the polls say, everyone needs to go vote, even if you think it will be a landslide or a loss. Vicky says, I think there are many quiet Trumpers who will be speaking out on November 5.
I agree. There's a lot of silent Trump people, Trump supporters, who will be making their voices heard come November 5th. It's been that way for a while, right? It's been that way since Trump started to now. And Trump even acknowledged it, the silent majority, right? And I expect that to fully play out this time around. And you heard them talk about some of those some of the reasons as to why they think that this is happening again. Like the firefighter station. I showed you guys that clip a while back where Kamala and Joe Biden walked in the fire station, you know, with a bunch of families and everybody sitting down, mingling, conversating. I think they were eating as well. And nobody reacted. Nobody reacted. Kamala and Joe Biden walked in and everybody was just like, carry on, you know, nothing to see here. Trump walks in and woo, you know, and you see that all over the place. Trump can go into New York, a deep blue place, and receive cheers and people, hey, I love you, Trump, I love you. Let Kamala go into a deep red place. She's getting booed out of that place with quickness, okay? But let's dive into some of these things because they talked about the cookies, and this one is in Philly, which I showed you guys this clip a while back, but here's a refresher. Philly.
And I know you've baked thousands in preparation for tonight.
Yes.
Everyone wants to know, what do the sales maybe tell us about who might win the election in November?
Well,
talk to me about sales.
The sales, the red is leading by a lot.
By a lot.
By a lot.
You got the tally board over here.
The tally was just updated. You're new to see it, but almost by 4,000 cookies, as you can see, and that's tremendous. Tremendous for us as a small business to produce this and sell this as well.
Yeah. Which I think is quite interesting because I think once Trump wins and these elections get cleaned up completely, I think something interesting is going to happen in 2028. And when I say interesting, I mean like a major blowout for Democrats. But that's just my assumption. We shall see. We shall see. We got to win come November 5th. Too big to rig, as Trump says, and I think he says that for a reason. But let's take a look at a Cincinnati bakery in Ohio, okay, who has accurately predicted every election since 1984. Now, these are just cookies. I get it, but I think it does mean a little bit. Let's dive into it. Donald Trump's hold on, let me turn that off. Donald Trump's campaign is getting some delightful news out of Ohio. Oh, you get it? Delightful. A beloved Cincinnati bakery whose cookie poll has accurately predicted every election outcome but one since 1984 has the former president and Republican nominee leading Democrat Kamala Harris in its unscientific survey. Trump notched about 54% support to Harris's 39%, 2,953 cookies to Kamala's 2,100, with an independent smiley face cookie scoring 7% at 397 cookies per the latest tally shared. Yeah, 54 to 39. Incredible. Incredible. That's what, a 15-point difference right there? 15 points. I don't know. Not looking good to me, if you ask me. But not only that, I want to take you guys to something that recently happened, right? Even though both of those were pretty recent. The dock workers strike, the port strike, right? Check out what they had to say.
How many folks support Vice President Harris? Any hands? No hands. Wow. Okay.
It's nobody's business.
It's nobody's business, says one man. So there you go. I tried Maria, and
Interesting.
Fine.
Yeah.
There you go.
Wow. Interesting.
Not one single person raised their hand in support of Kamala. But, you know, I get it. These aren't scientific things, but, you know, I'll carry on. Here's a street interview.
Who are we voting for?
I'm voting for Donald Trump.
I'm voting for Trump. Why are we voting for Trump?
Kamala's not doing it for me. He's just the best person for our country right now. Mega.
Yeah, who are we voting for?
We're voting for Trump.
Why are we voting for Trump?
Because we want to make America great again.
Who are we voting for?
Trump.
Why Trump?
If you vote for Kamala, you hate yourself and you hate your country.
Yeah, who are we voting for?
We're voting for Donald J. Trump.
Yeah. Donald Trump. Why are we voting for Trump?
Well, as a Christian, one is where he stands on abortion. I actually don't think you can be a Christian and be a Democrat at the same time.
So anti-abortion, closed border,
yeah,
less taxes.
Who are we voting for?
Donald Trump.
Why are we voting for Trump?
Because I'm sick and tired of paying gas prices in California, and they got to go back down. And I'm not a liberal pussy, so you know, I was raised right. Definitely voting for Trump.
Who are we voting for?
Oh, easy answer, Trump.
100% Trump.
Why are we voting for Trump?
Because he's not Kamala.
Even though he's direct and can come across like arrogant, his political views and decisions he makes for the country are always the best and always in benefit of like the people.
I'm just saying, you know, I get it. Just another street interview, but hey, it continues. Like I told you guys, I could make these videos like every other day. That's how many of these things I come across, you know? So let's continue. Let's take a trip to another college where a guy performed a random poll He didn't actually ask people directly to talk into the mic, but he had them write on a card, fold it up, and stick it in a box. So it was completely anonymous. People could decide completely anonymously who they wanted to vote for. And let's see how it went.
Donald Trump or Kamala Harris? Today we're going to see which way Murray State students lean on the presidential election. They will fill out their ballots using these note cards right here, and they're going to put them in this wonderful ballot box. Everything will be anonymous, and at the end we're going to tally it up and see if it's Donald Trump or Kamala Harris for Murray State University. Now this vote is completely anonymous, but do any of you guys feel really strongly about this election?
Same old thing.
Same old thing. What would be your prediction? Do you have a prediction?
It's going to be close. Probably say 48, 50%. No.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe it's rigged. Polling has officially closed. I really do think it's a mixed bag, but we'll see how it goes. As you guys can see, we got a whole bunch of votes, filled up the entire trash can, and now it's time to see where Murray State students are at. Is it Donald Trump or is it Kamala Harris? This is going to take a second. We got to count all of these. So these are all the results. And to be honest, I'm incredibly surprised. I didn't entirely know what to expect, but take a look. These are all Donald Trump 2024, and this is Kamala Harris. So we tallied up the results, and here's what we got. For Trump, 83 votes. Now, for Harris, 31. Donald Trump not only takes the cake, but he takes the cake by over double, almost triple what Harris has. Make sure, racers, if you actually feel some type of way about the election, get out and vote. Go to the polls, get online, do your research.
Yeah. Now, granted, that was Murray State, which I believe is in Kentucky. So, it could be a little bit skewed based on where it's located, right? Sorry, I have an eyelash in my eye. Goodness gracious. But even if you don't want to believe that, right, let's take a listen to what the most accurate pollster from 2020, the most accurate, this guy came the closest to predicting to a decimal point how the 2020 election was going to play out. He came the closest. Atlas Intel. Check it out.
Oriented by the numbers we have, and I believe in those numbers. And if I believe in those numbers, and I think about how this plays out, swing state by swing state, and that is something that we'll be releasing next week, I would give Trump 70% chance of winning and Kamala 30%. That means that Kamala still has a chance, but I wouldn't call this race that oriented.
He gave Trump a 70% chance to win, and Kamala obviously would get 30. 70%. Now, once again, we still have to go out and do our part. It means absolutely nothing if we don't show up. And we need to show up en masse, okay? En masse. Trump said too big to rig for a reason. We all know that reason. We have to make that gap so big that it can't be closed. And I said this well before Trump even said that. And I saw some people in the comment section were like, nah, Rich, it won't matter. I'm like, it does. Because there comes a point where the gap is too big for them to close, right? It becomes way too obvious to all of America, because I know some people are going to say, well, it was obvious the first time. No, it wasn't. Not to everybody. Not to most people, to be quite honest, right? But there comes a point where that gap becomes so large, you can close it a little bit, but you can't close it completely, right? Now, if you're within that range, if you're here and told you got to show up. But if we're here, you can't close that distance. You're going to have to pull way too much, involve way too many people. It's going to be way too, you know what I mean? So that's why Trump, and you guys can go back to my old videos, I said this. It's like we have to make it so that that gap can't be closed. And some people like almost call me crazy. Not really, but people heavily disagreed. Some folks, not many, but
those Republicans
heavily disagreed with me in the comment section, which is fine. But and then Trump came out too big to rig. I was like, I told you. Like, I don't know why, but I feel like some of this stuff is just common sense. Like I understand Democrats can close gaps. That's just obvious. If you just open your eyes and look, yes, Democrats can close gaps. But if you make the gap too big, they can't close it. But even if you don't want to take Atlas Intel, let's take a look at what The View recently said. And I think their panic says a lot.
Those Republicans out there who are sitting on the fence, just do it this one time. Do it this one time. Vote for the Democrat to save the country. Listen to Liz Cheney. When everything goes back to normal, then become a Republican again, like Alyssa will become, and probably Alan.
Kamala said the day of a robust two-party system will come back.
Well, but listen, the thing is this. We can have policy differences. You can have policy differences with Kamala. You can have policy differences with Liz Cheney. We are not at a point right now to be talking about policy differences. This is not about economic difference, because we are not running against a normal human being. Right. We are running against Donald Trump, who is an existential threat to humanity and democracy.
Before we just go, I do want to say, I am still a Republican, and I don't believe it's my job.
We don't need to listen to that crap. Yeah, you just heard them begging Republicans to vote Democrat. Just this one time. Just this one time. Begging Republicans to vote Democrat. And then you heard Ana Navarro say, oh, well, basically, skip the policies. Don't worry about the policies, right? Don't worry about it. Just vote for Kamala. If that doesn't spell panic, then I don't know what does. If that doesn't tell you, oh, it's getting ugly for them and they know it, then I don't know what does, right? But once again, and I want you to continue to reiterate this, don't get comfortable. Democrats can close gaps. We know that. We've watched it. We've seen it. It's obvious. Trump basically even told us, too big to rig. Why would he say that? Because he knows they can close gaps. We have to make a gap that's wide enough to where they can't close it. I think that we are more than there right now with the numbers that I'm seeing, with the numbers that I'm hearing about. Right. And I don't have any inside information. I've shared a lot of these numbers with you guys. But I think that we are there. But everybody still has to show up. The polls look great. These videos look great. The street interviews are amazing. But if none of these people show up, if we don't get there, it means absolutely nothing. And I'm going to be here the day after when it's announced that Kamala wins, saying, I told you. Y'all got comfortable. I told you not to. We relaxed. And we lost. Now what? You know? I don't suspect I'll have to make that video because based on the comment section, you guys seem very, very motivated. And I've seen some of you guys talk about how you've talked to other people about this, and everybody else that you've talked to are extremely motivated to get there. So yeah, hey, if you got to walk through broken glass, walk through some broken glass. Somebody commented the other day when I made a video on the flooding from Hurricane Helene and showed you guys a video clip of this woman's house, which was basically flooded, all the way around. There was rushing water going past, and somebody said, well, Rich, you said you'd walk through broken glass. Would you walk through that water? Yeah, the answer to that one is no, because I'd probably be dead. I can't swim. I at least want to live, right? Broken glass ain't going to kill me. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt like a mother lover, all right? But I can kick my feet up after I vote for Uncle Trump and watch it be announced that he wins. I'll be all right. But if I try to jump in some water, yeah, I ain't coming back. My vote is gone, which is, I'm sure, what Kamala in her administration actually wants. Okay, but anyway, we're not gonna rehash that one. And if you want more on that conversation, you can go check out that video from the other day. All right, but as always, thanks for tuning in. Stay safe out there. Peace and love. I'm out.